Welcome to Small Caps, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Kerry Stevenson. Truth Bomb Tony is back. That would be Tony Locantro from Alto Capital over there in the West during this weekly, or should I say fortnightly update. All things about the market, all things about what we should be doing, and all things about the chaos. Tony, good to see you again. Looking smart as always.
Well, I've got to make use of my business attire, Kerry, because these days work from home. But anyway, before we start today, I wanted to give a shout out to a little kid called Sam. And Sam's 4.5 years old. And I had someone who watches the show came on my course, and he said that his 4.5-year-old son watches me and calls me Tony DeCantro. So a bit of humour there. But a big shout out to Sam. And parents might argue and say, look, let a kid be a kid. So what are we going to do? Hand him an iPad and chuck him in a dark room? But I think that's awesome that someone so young's watching the show and he's going to start building his silver portfolio and hopefully learn. So that's awesome.
Hi, Sam. Thanks for watching the show. We appreciate you, and you make sure that you don't spend too much time on things, but keep your mind learning. And good on mum and dad for having him look at things like this. Much better than some of those violent video games, let me tell you.
Yeah, exactly.
So, all right, let's dedicate this one to Sam. So this show is dedicated to Sam, and all those young people out there that we hope start to get themselves a little bit more interested in looking after their future. Tony,
Yep.
what are we talking about today? The markets have been lackluster.
Lackluster, for a better word. With obviously the Queen passed away, so that's dominating. You hardly hear about anything else these days. And just a short war story, Kerry. My grandfather bred racehorses, and the Queen and Prince Philip visited his farm in 1981. I wasn't there at the time. And it turns out that the other famous visitor to Middle Park Stud was Nelson Bunker Hunt. And just before my father died, he said he used to be a regular at the farm, and viewers would know Nelson and the Hunt brothers for trying to corner the silver market in 1980. And I just thought that was a bit of an interesting tidbit. So I can just imagine the stories that my late grandfather would have heard. But I guess we've all got a Queen story, and that's mine.
Can I do a Queen story then?
Fire away.
So my dad, Captain Stevenson, he was equerry to Prince Philip and was on the Royal Yacht Britannia for a year, but he also opened the 1956 Olympic Games. And my dad and Prince Philip, same age, same naval uniform, looked identical, looked like twin brothers. So down in Melbourne, now that the Queen's no longer here and Prince Philip's not, I can probably say this, but Dad used to go out the front as the decoy so that Prince Philip could go out the back and have a little bit of fun and do what he wanted. But on the opening of the Olympics, they decided not to go in the official cars because Philip wanted to drive a little sports car, and they were almost late for the opening of the Olympics.
Oh, that's awesome. And I've got no doubts your father would have had a similar sense of humour. Maybe
I think they were both naughty boys.
Yeah. But anyway, that's dominating the world. Kind of takes our minds off things, because interest rates 0.1 to now 2.35%. We're staring at another rise on the 4th of October, and then another rise first Tuesday of November, where we're trying to watch the Melbourne Cup. And I just think that this is economically one of the worst times that we're about to face, and it's going to it's going to affect all of us as asset prices fall and suddenly serviceability issues come into it. So I don't know how low is going to balance the property market and an economy. And he's come out and said house prices will fall 10%. Well, I think they're already pretty close to that mark already. So it is going to be an absolute shit show on the economic front. for average Australians, and we're going to have public sector workers all crying for pay rises. Obviously, childcare workers need to be looked after. So I think there's going to be a lot of unrest. I can see domestic violence increasing, calls to Lifeline.
Oh.
I just think it sucks, but I'm going to focus on where profits can be made, and those involved in small caps can do well. But we are the minority, Kerry, and we have to accept that.
Yeah, look, I agree. And look, just on interest rates, it's curious to me because I'm of an age where I remember interest rates being at 17, 18, I think we got up to 19%, and we just dealt with it. But I think the difference is we knew that those interest rates were high. We worked our numbers out on that. We've then had 30 years of falling interest rates and asset prices going up, and everyone's saying, well, it's free money, so it doesn't matter how much I borrow. But to get back to a sort of a reality, a normality, if you like, the interest rate should be 5-6%. But unfortunately, people are just used to sort of 0.1, 2% interest rates. I agree there will be some pain, but maybe there needs to be some short-term pain for some long-term gain in a way.
Well, Lowe said it could be plausible. No interest rate rises to 2024. It was a 0.1, fixed rates through the roof. But it reminds me a little bit during the dot-com bubble, you could actually borrow money on leverage to buy dot-com stocks. And then that all, we all know where that went. And we had this massive margin lending bubble as well, where margin lending firms were offering trips to Hawaii for brokers that sold the margin lending. I just think that the fuel's been sucked out of it, borrowing capacity falls, and I think you're right, in for a world of pain. But as I said, there are ways to certainly mitigate it, sandbag your finances, and look at sectors where there is going to be some opportunities around. And the good thing is savers, if they want to go ultra conservative, can now get 3% in a term deposit, maybe more. But yeah, we're on the small caps channel. We're here to take risks.
Absolutely. And ladies and gentlemen, just to let you know, there is nothing wrong with your screen. For some reason, I've got a little bit of a flicker on my screen. So if that starts to annoy you, if you've got, you don't like the little flickers, apologies. Close your eyes and just listen, because nothing's much going to change between what Tony and I look like. Tony, we are talking small caps and we are talking opportunities at these times. What are you looking at the moment? Where the electrification of the world is happening, whether we like it or not. 700 million tons of copper has been mined since the beginning of time. We need another 700 million in the next 20 years. Is Dr. Copper a good opportunity right now?
Oh, absolutely. And even though it got walloped earlier, I still think that that's where the opportunity is. When you consider that a lot of the world's copper is 4,000 meters above sea level and under 1%. So I recently recommended a stock called Demetallica, code DRM, as a consolidation play. And Aaron Colleran from AIC lobbed a takeover bid for that. It's a script offer, so it values them at around 32, 33 cents. And to me, that's just a major pain in the ass, Kerry, because I only really got a handful of clients set. I wanted more time because this stock was trading at 19.5, 20 cents. And obviously the good thing is no leaks. And then suddenly that consolidation in Cloncurry starts. So a brilliant acquisition if Aaron can pull it off, so to speak. But I think you've got to look at some of these other copper companies that have suffered. I looked at the drill core from Maronan. That has some visible copper in it. The market's tiptoeing through the tulips on that one because no one knows what to do with it when there's no assays. But that whole Cloncurry region could become a bit of a consolidation play. And Aaron Colleran started it. So I just think, look at the quality copper juniors. I think the risk reward in copper stocks is far better than other sectors on the market, even though I'd suggest in the end that once, if we get a bit of uranium tick up, that a lot of the uranium stocks will become dumb money magnets. So you get the smart money, you get the FOMO money, then you get the dumb money at the end, and it sends them to the stratosphere. Lithium sector has been performing brilliantly. I think that's great, but as long as you're able to take profits out of there, because you've still got AVZ with their issues. Lake's been volatile. Sayona, everyone loves Sayona. So again, I like risk reward in the copper juniors at the moment. Gold sector's just been absolutely belted.
Yeah, what's going on? Like, I just don't understand it. We all know I'm that gold lady. I run the gold conference.
Yeah.
I don't get it, Tony.
Well, in liquidity events, everything cops it. So,
So don't think I'm special.
No. And there's talk of Fed pivots, this, bada bing, bada boom, inflation, deflation, stagflation, anyflation. But what I have noticed is that silver has outperformed. Silver has stayed solid. Gold's back below 1,700. But sometimes gold just doesn't do what you expect. But honestly, if you look at it over the last 12 months, it's outperformed the Dow Jones. It maintains its purchasing power. And there's going to be M&A activity in the gold sector. Now there's speculation about Gold Road and De Grey. And if you find a decent gold resource, you get valued. So as long as you maintain a positive stance to gold, unless, of course, it goes parabolic. But again, lots of value in that sector as well.
All right, so if we have a look at why silver's doing what it's doing, do you think that's because silver is also used in the solar panels and lots of these new technologies that are coming out? Silver is necessary, not just as a store of value, as a monetary metal, but also used in some of these new metals going forward. Do you think that's what's holding the price up a little bit?
I think it's a combination of you've obviously got the uses, and you've got the hashtag silver squeeze going around on Twitter. So the Reddit Robin Hood brigade are again trying to squeeze the price of silver.
Right. I haven't seen that.
It gets around. I mean, we've got, instead of the Hunt brothers, we've got thousands of people that are trying to squeeze the price of silver. But silver got poleaxed. I still think it's the best precious metal commodity to have, and I strongly recommend that dollar cost averaging silver. Go and buy a kilo of silver a month instead of wasting it on other stuff. So, but again, on the ASX, not many silver opportunities around.
No.
But at the moment, I think we're a fair way off a genuine gold and silver bubble. Like what was witnessed in 1978 to 1980. I just think the speculators like the more exotic commodities and EV metals, which have had stunning runs. But I say to my clients, yes, we didn't fully profit from it, but you need to buy the company, have the confidence to put the money in and relax and not get tied up in conspiracy theories and what goes with that. So, sometimes you're at the wedding table, you get the dry chicken breast, the person next to you gets the ribeye cooked to perfection. That's life. That's life. And,
Tony, I also think that people want, it's immediate gratification, whether it's in stocks or whatever it is that they are putting their cash into. They're likening it more to going to the casino, and it shouldn't be like that. If it's a good company with good people that understand how to build a project and get it into development and then down the track into production, if that's the fundamental reason why you went into it, then be patient, don't you think? These things don't happen overnight.
The world's drowning in dopamine, and crypto has been the main contributor. To young people have just become absolute gambling addicts, and they don't have a hope in hell because they're going to start chasing losses. And the other bubble, which is ridiculous, is the affirmation bubble. I've never seen social media dominated by women wanting to be called they're beautiful. I mean, that's another bubble that needs bursting. Everyone wants that dopamine hit. It's just ridiculous.
What do you mean? Like, sorry, I didn't get that.
Well, a lot in the crypto NFT space will put a photo up of themselves in a bikini saying good morning, and they want 2,000 men to say you're beautiful.
Oh,
I call it the affirmation bubble.
oh, I'm clearly behind the times, Tony, because I don't even understand NFTs. I don't want to understand NFTs. I'm more about fundamentals. I'm about people, projects, and, there was another P and I can't remember what it is now, but to me, it's getting the right people. But, some people, we spoke about this last time, the opportunity or the problem with scams, if you like. And that, if we get into a little bit of more challenges with inflation and interest rates going up, people are going to be looking for that quick buck again. So Tony and I will both warn you, or each and every time, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. And always go and have a look at the people who are behind the projects. That's so important, isn't it? Would you reckon that's probably one of the most important ones?
Oh, absolutely, Kerry. And I look at management teams, and Far East Gold, which I helped float earlier this year, has touched 69.5 cents today.
Wow.
And they've just done a brilliant job in shareholder relations, keeping the market updated, delivering on what they say they will. And now, judging by how it's performing, my clients are going to have to deal with another windfall issue. And every time I get to this point, they treat my phone calls with suspicion. They're scared to take profits all the way up. And then it just becomes a schmozzle again. So I know what could happen if that drill bit hits at Woyler. There's lots of upside to come, but again, there's risk. So it's been a really, I'll be honest with everyone, this has been one of my most challenging years on the scoreboard. We've banked so much good news. The biotech sector can't take a trick, but what I'm going to do is keep banking the profits from risk capital, and I'm certainly picking up one stock now. It's a biotech, which I think over a few years is going to do exceptionally well. So that's my strategy, really, to help my clients get set for the next run, and all these little wins, load the bases up, then hit the home run. But it's a bloody long game, and people have been with me for 20 years. A lot of the time they'll spend underwater, but some of them have had 2 to 3 lotto wins. And the greatest camouflage I can have is that during the year, some of my stocks will get poleaxed for no reason. And then people say, oh, Locantro can't pick stocks. Well, at that point, no, I'm probably too early. But can you imagine if I was striking at 100%, I'd be absolutely flooded with inquiries. So it's just a bloody tough game, but you've got to stick with it. You've got to back management. You can't fall for that FOMO and chase, buy low and sell high. That's what you got to do.
Well, buy low, sell high, absolutely. But some of these biotech companies have been really, really, really hurt badly. Does there come a time when there's potentially going to be a bit of M&A with some of those biotech stocks? Can they keep going if their share price is continually belted into oblivion?
I honestly don't want to see M&A in my stocks just yet. There's excuses for Narada that they've had delays with their trials. I thought that spotlight on Mario Fenech was interesting, how he's played rugby league, now he's got early onset dementia.
I think sad.
Yeah, I think concussion in sport's going to become an issue. Narada are working on a drug with the Walter Reed Military Institute in the US on that. The other biotechs, Exopharm hasn't performed as I've expected. The company's done nothing wrong. But once these things go quiet, you get a bit of selling, and then the crowd just turns absolutely feral, and that's what's happened there. But again, I am accumulating a biotech very gently that I think has multiple upside over the next few years, and it's just something you have to put away and utilize risk capital. But companies like Radio Farm have done nothing wrong, yet the share price can halve in a couple of weeks. So that's just part of the risk of being in these spec stocks. And we've seen the love come out of lithium stocks had a bit of a crash in early 2018. Vanadium stocks, all the EV stocks will throw their tantrums at some point. So you've just got to really be mindful of that, accept the risk reward of what you're in, and just back the right management teams. And I cannot stress that enough.
Yeah, it's like I was talking to somebody earlier today about, Westwits Mining. Great little company over there in South Africa. They've got a 4 million ounce deposit over there. I think the average grade's about 4 grams a ton. But the market's not recognizing it at the moment, but it will. It will. And someone else said to me recently that if you're in gold stocks, it's like walking through treacle. It's just hard going at the moment. But speaking to Rick Rule recently, he's like, that's exactly when you need to pay attention, when no one else is looking. When everybody else is looking, that's what you said earlier, that's almost the dumb money going in at that point, when everyone's overexcited. Right now, I think no one's looking at gold. Have a look. If the company's there, they've got the right deposit, then put your money where your thought process is, because you will in time, I think. And by the way, this is not financial advice. Do your own research. But opportunities like Westwits, which is less than 2 cents a share, could be interesting. But there's plenty of them out there. It's how do you pick them, Tony?
Well, that's what I've learned over 25 odd years, is how to go through reports, get that gut feel, eyeball the management teams at conferences. I'd love to go to more conferences. I think that there's always a gem or two that will come out of those. But the other thing is, if we do get a gold and silver bubble, is you still need decent stock selection, because you don't want to buy a company that has production issues, has debt issues, and you might call the sector right, but if you buy the wrong stock. But I'd certainly have a saying, and I call it right stock, wrong person. And that means the company is right. It's going to have periods of volatility with the share price. But if you don't have the right character traits, it's not going to be a winner. You become downtrodden. Investors look for every negative they possibly can. Every sale, they think someone knows something. They think the management are there for the lifestyle. That's all absolute BS, because these days there's very few leaks on information. Now, I looked at the way Demetallica traded. It looked on its knees, then suddenly a takeover offer's logged. Or suddenly you might get a great drilling result from someone. So I just think investors now, the level of paranoia is probably at its highest. When stocks are running, everyone wants to hold a $5 stock party. Everyone wants to buy a Tesla. High fives, back slapping. That's when you should be selling. And that's always been the case. But every cycle, we get a new wave of investors who know better, get the big wins, and they think they're the first ones to work out the 11 secret herbs and spices. It's just going to keep repeating itself, Kerry. But what I've learned, it's best to just tiptoe through the tulips, look after the people that look after me. I'm teaching people the markets. Samsung's probably going to be a client of my youngest son, who I'll train up. It's just the best. That's wonderful. Just the best game in town, Kerry. And where else can you get that risk reward to not only fund drilling, to fund medical programs, but also win lotto without having to fill out a ticket for 30 years? It's just a great sector of the market. I love small caps. I love doing all this media, but geez, there's some pitfalls.
There are. And I wanted to ask you, there are people out there that potentially will be watching this that are either they've never bought a share before, or maybe they don't understand how this all works. What I want is, and let's go with five red flags that Tony Locantro would look out for. I mean, what people are going, oh, well, some people are scared. They don't know what to do. They don't know what to look out for. What do you think? What would be your red flags of, walking away from that one?
Excess conspiracy theories on financial forums. I won't mention names. I got involved in one way back in 1998, and I can just learn to read how investors are reacting, their levels of paranoia. I'd steer clear of those. I'd steer clear of companies that continually dilute their shareholders.
Absolutely. And by diluting shareholders, ladies and gentlemen, again, look, I don't want to do this for the people that know, but some people don't. Dilution of shareholders means issuing new capital, issuing new shares so that the shares you've got are worth less over the years, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. And often there'll be placements. Look, I'm all for institutional placements where a company needs to raise money quickly, but I think rights issues are fair. Companies that try and keep a tight capital structure. One of my favourite stocks, Red Metal. It's listed 19 years, yet there's only under 250 million shares on issue. And look, they haven't found the big one yet. They've spun it out into Veronin, but early next year we'll know if there's the chance of a Cannington. So that's a company that wants to have a small issue of shares, but a large share price. So look at the share price structure. I'd also start learning who's on the top 20 of list. You can get that from the annual report. Read the chairman's address. I think the chairman's address is one of the best free shots a company can have. If there's issues with that, that could be a red flag, but that's somewhere, I guess you can get a bit of a positive vibe on it. Also, just look at the level of trading activity. Sometimes it's good to watch the market live, to see if it's being traded. Look for CXA trading. Look for buys and sells that disappear, because some of these stocks, they don't play fair, but then that's another video. And I guess you've got to look at where a stock's come from. That could be a red flag, because you don't want to be 13th man on the deal team, and you don't want to buy at the top. And that's where humans are wired, is to sell low and buy high. And that's why being a contrarian like I am is a very lonely place. And my issue is being too early. And then I liken it. I'm at the shopping centre. There's a 3-year-old kid that's chucking a tanty over Kinder Surprise, and someone else comes over and slaps me in the face. That's how I look at my stocks being mistreated. And it's been a bitch of a year. I wouldn't mind a little bit more success, and then hopefully next year is a better year for all of us, because I look at the people I've grown up with this year over my life that have died this year. It's it hasn't been the best year, but there's always opportunities, Kerry.
Yeah, well, and as you say, the attention has been on the beautiful Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth's passing, which has been across all the news, as well it should be. She's done a lot for the Commonwealth and the UK over the years, and if you look back, you think, goodness me, she was I don't know whether you call it signing in or swearing in or whatever, the new British Prime Minister Liz Truss. 2 days before in fact, I think it was 36 hours before she passed. Talk about staying on duty right to the end. So God bless you, Queen Elizabeth. You were an absolute, what a lady. But yeah, Tony, been great to chat to you today. Look, it has been a little bit tough, but as you say, we both love small caps. There are opportunities out there. Tony's given you a few red flags there. Last comment comes to you, Tony, because we're running out of time. And my flickering keeps going. Apologies, ladies and gentlemen. Please ignore it.
We'll find a fix for that. If anyone wants to reach out, tony@altocapital.com.au. That's on my course, or looking to see what I can do to help. I'd love to get to the point where I'm saying I'm too busy, but at the moment I've got a bit of spare time, and I am going to start my second book 21 years after my first one. So that's a job for Thursday. I'll start mapping out the chapters, and
wow.
I look forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks.
Oh, yes. I was going to say, well, we're going to a conference. No, you mean on here.
Yeah, a couple of weeks.
Fantastic, Tony. As always, Truth Bomb Tony tells it like it is. Markets, they sometimes they just challenge you a little bit, but we love small caps. The opportunities are there, but we're moving into the electrification of the world, and so there will be certain commodities of which there's just the supply demand is out of whack, and that's where you can get to see some opportunities. But as always, this is not financial advice. Please do your own research. Don't put a dime of your hard-earned money into this crazy market until you've done so. Thanks for joining me on Small Caps today, Tony.
Always a pleasure.